So if you've been researching living in Las Vegas, Nevada, you've probably been looking for the best places to live. And one of the places you always see on the list is Summerlin in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, why did I say it like that? Well, that's because Summerlin is not a city. It's actually a master plan community in Las Vegas. And that's what I'm going to tell you about all through this video right now. So let's go. Hello everybody, it's Dave Baker here once again with the Modern Times Agent Group in wonderful Las Vegas, Nevada. Now if this is your first time on the channel, I want to make sure that you remember to tap that little subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I put out a new video all about what it's like to live, to work, to eat, to sleep, and of course, to play in Las Vegas. So, let's get into today's episode right now and talk all about Summerlin. If you're getting ready to move to Las Vegas, or you're relocating to the Summerlin area, or Henderson, or Boulder City here in Nevada, make sure that you reach out to us right away. Send us a text message, you can write us an email, give us a call 24/7, day or night, whatever is good for you. Get in touch with us because we have your back when it comes to moving to Vegas. We love Las Vegas, we love Summerlin, we love Henderson, and we want to show you what it's all about. All right, so the first thing we have to do is establish what is Summerlin. Is Summerlin a city? People often bring that up to me. They'll say, hey Dave, I was thinking about moving to Las Vegas, but now instead I think I'm gonna move over to Summerlin. Well, just to let you know, Summerlin is not a city, okay? Summerlin is a master planned community on the west side of Las Vegas, close to Red Rock Canyon, which is the famous park that we always talk about where people go hiking and enjoy the outdoors. And on a quick side note, I want to talk about the name as well. Summerlin is the name, with L-I-N at the end of it. It's not Summerland, which a lot of people think. You'd be surprised how many people write to me, what do you think about me moving to Summerland? And I write back something kind of witty like, well, it's the Las Vegas desert, so it's always kind of Summerland. But not everyone gets my sense of humor, so we'll just leave it there. But yeah, just remember, Summerlin is on the west part of Las Vegas, around Highway 215, or 215, or the 215, if you will. And an easy way to remember when we're talking about Vegas and all the different communities is this little tidbit that I always share with people. Las Vegas is located in Clark County, Nevada, okay? And there are only 5 cities in Clark County. Let's go through them real quick. Las Vegas, the most famous, of course. Henderson, Nevada, which is to the east. North Las Vegas, which is, you guessed it, to the north. Mesquite, Nevada, which is out on the Arizona border. I'm pointing east, by the way, in case you didn't know. And lastly, Boulder City, which is by Hoover Dam, also by the Arizona border. So we talk about a lot of places inside of Las Vegas and different communities. And just remember, they're not separate cities. They're communities within Las Vegas. Now, let's dive into Summerlin here. What makes Summerlin so world-renowned? What makes it so special? Well, it's a huge master planned community. Now, if you've lived in some major cities, you've probably seen some master planned communities. Like if you've been to Irvine, California, where they laid out a plan in the 60s on how they were going to build this city, you'll notice it's very well designed. The streets are very efficient. You have shopping centers in each residential area that people can access. And sometimes people use words like villages instead of communities to describe something inside of a master planned community. The big difference when you're in this master planned community is that all of the subdivisions, or villages if you will, have been laid out on a map in advance. Maybe they haven't chosen the names yet or the exact design, but we have a good idea of what's coming in advance, so that you don't see those random houses or random buildings just pop up in the middle of nowhere. If you've driven through Las Vegas off the strip, you'll notice there are areas where there are just random houses. You'll just be driving along and then all of a sudden, boop, house, house, house. And then you look around and you say, well, there's nothing around here. There's just desert, or there's some roads that kind of lead to nowhere. Sometimes when you see the street signs, you think that somebody actually got to name that street themselves, which is pretty cool in itself. But what we see now in Vegas, especially in the last, 13 to 15 years, is more and more planned communities by developers. And while some people think that they would love the freedom just to build a house wherever they want and put any color on it they want and make it look however they'd like, I've got to tell you, I love these communities, okay? I've traveled to many states. I've been to Pennsylvania, I've been to New York, I've been to Idaho, I've been to all these different states. And I notice more on the West, here in Nevada, in the West, we see a lot more pre-planned communities that seem to have been established, in the last, like I said, 10 to 20 years, we'll say. When I go to those other states, I always notice these things that I'll call random houses or random buildings, meaning I'm surprised to see a house pop up when I'm driving along the street. Or sometimes I'll see an office building in the middle of what I think is going to be a forest, and it catches me off guard. But in Vegas, and particularly in Summerlin, we have a well thought out and well planned community. And I think it creates for an amazing living environment. I really like it, I do. I think it's great. So first, let me tell you a little bit about the history of Summerlin. This is your quick history/geography lesson for the day. Okay, Howard Hughes, who was famous for a lot of different things, one thing he did in Las Vegas, and keep in mind, he was an important figure in the development of Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Valley, and the surrounding communities. He's a pretty important figure in the history of the city. He acquired about 25,000 acres, probably give or take a few here and there, for something around $3 an acre. Can you believe that? $3 an acre? Can you imagine if we could do that today? But anyway, so he acquired about 25,000 acres for somewhere around $3 an acre back in the 1950s. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of stories of what happened in between. I think he had planned to move, or he had made some decisions about where he was going to go. But when he decided to stay, he didn't do anything with that land for a very long time. Okay, and so you have 25,000 acres out by today, what we call the Red Rock area or Red Rock Canyon. Then, let's fast forward almost 38 years. In 1988, it was announced that there would be a new master planned community built in the land that Howard Hughes had acquired. And you're thinking, well, did they just come up with this obscure name, Summerlin? No. It has nothing to do with the heat. It doesn't have anything to do with the summer or the season. And it's not Summerland. It's not a land named after a person. It's actually named after I believe it was his paternal grandmother, and her name was Jean Amelia Summerlin. And that's where we get the name Summerlin for the community today. So where did it all go since 1988? Obviously, we're way beyond that. Well, fast forward to 1990, and we saw the first streets being built in Summerlin. I believe it was Summerlin Parkway, which is obviously a noticeable street now, and it's in the middle of some major communities, and it started to connect one part of the city to the other, and that was back in 1990. Now, over the next few years, we started to see more communities develop, or villages, if you will. You saw some housing projects pop up, different areas where people would be able to start moving into. And then, it was in 1997, after you had already established housing areas, parks, libraries, schools, and some other businesses, when it really got bigger and they built Summerlin Center. So Summerlin Center is a mixed-use community. That means that you have a combination of housing and you have retail centers and offices. And to me, that was a major growth spurt that happened. When that came, And you still see it today when you're there. You see the Summerlin Center sign. You had a lot of growth come into the city right there in the Summerlin neighborhood. And it made a big difference. And then, over the 2000s, we saw more and more communities come in, some of the nice ones that we'll be happy to show you when you come out and we give you a tour of Vegas, like the Paseos and like the Mesa area. Sometimes you'll hear me mention Mesa Ridge, which is a place I would love to have us show you because they have some amazing homes up there. I love it. And you started to see all those developments come in. So it's really blossoming. And that was, again, back in 2007 or around that time, in the 2000s. When I first made the decision to move to Vegas, probably, I'm going to say I was thinking about it, 10, 13 plus years ago, everyone had told me, oh, you should go to Summerlin. And at the time, it was quite developed, but today it is way more developed. And I think that is one of the main reasons that so many people are interested there. Now, there's one other big thing that happened back in 2006, and that was the introduction of the Red Rock Casino and Resort. So you might be thinking, if you're from a place where a hotel isn't a significant thing, that you might be asking yourself, well, what's the big deal? Well, the Red Rock Casino and Resort is like a landmark now, right? It's a centralized place that people go to, they meet there, and it's not just for tourists. It's for locals. It's well known as a nice locals place to go. So what do you have there? You have the casino, obviously. And like I always say, it doesn't matter if you don't play. It's got a lot of other awesome things too. We've got the movie theaters over there. You have a lot of spa services, which are very popular in Vegas. We have spa services like all over town, which is actually really nice. A lot of great places. You have some great dining over there. They have a buffet, of course, which I always love to check out on my dining excursions. But there are a lot of good restaurants and a lot of positive energy when you're around there. I actually enjoy walking around the grounds of that casino because it's really nice. The fountains in the front, the fire pit, it's really nice. They have a lovely pool too. And I'm going to show you some of that in my upcoming videos because I've been there in that neighborhood many times, and I really think it added a lot to the community. And I think it was also like a kind of a focal point where they would start adding more things in the neighborhood. So just to round out what else has been developed, in the Summerlin neighborhood, you also have the Las Vegas ballpark, of course, which is where we have, I believe it's a minor league team. But at the time of me making this video, there is more and more talk about a team coming here. So we might be seeing something in the majors soon. And you also have the arena where the Golden Knights were practicing. And if you're not familiar with the Golden Knights, of course, that is our local hockey team. It's our NHL team. I think it was the first year, went to the Stanley Cup. And if you're not a hockey fan, then that's like the Super Bowl of hockey. And now you might be thinking, there's a hockey team in the middle of the desert? Well, yes, there is. And do they have fans? Oh, yes. There are so many Golden Knights fans out here. It's everywhere. Everywhere you go, you see people wearing stuff with the Golden Knights all over it. So you'll probably get a shirt. Don't worry. Even if you don't watch hockey, you'll grab a shirt or a hat. Everyone does it. Okay, so let's talk about Summerlin itself. Now, what is it that I love about the place? Well, I'm going to show you some pictures and a little bit of video as well when I was over there. But there's something I love about the neighborhood, and that is, how do I say this? It's a community. So with everything that's changed in the world, people are working at home, you spend more time at home. If you do have to go to work, hopefully you don't have to drive very far. So in Summerlin, you can do everything, right? You can live there, obviously. That's why you're watching this video. Hopefully, if you have to go to work, you can work there. And there's a co-working space that I love over there. You might see me over there, actually, if you ever pop in. You have all the food you need, all of your shopping, and your services, right? Like things like, going to the dentist or the doctor. There are hospitals over there. You've got all those things. So it's a whole community. You never really need to leave it. If you want to go, try some other food or something like that, of course, we might drive to a destination restaurant. People do that. But I really like the community feel. And they also have community events that go on there. I get newsletters from them about things that are going on, just, whether it's for families or other types of events that, they create a sense of, community, right? So the community has a feeling of community. Sometimes when you ask people where they'll live in Las Vegas, they'll reference their neighborhood. They might say, I live in Mountain's Edge, or I live somewhere in Southern Highlands, or in this case, I live in Summerlin. And I notice people are really proud to live there. And I understand why, because it's got a lot of great housing and it's a well-developed neighborhood. It's mature with a lot of things to do, so you don't have to drive really far for anything. And if you watch my videos, you'll notice that I often reference convenience, because I appreciate convenience. When we all have this, kind of limited schedule, if you're in a position where you're retired, congratulations. But those of us who are still out there in the field, we seem to all have less time than we did before. So having things that are convenient really makes life more enjoyable. So I want to show you a few things in Summerlin that get my attention. Let's take a peek here at some of these items. Now let's jump into our introductory kind of slideshow where I tell you a little more about Summerlin with some visuals to help you really see the neighborhood. So I made this one because I just want to remind you that it is Summerlin in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is a community within Las Vegas. It's not its own city. And behind you see beautiful Red Rock Canyon, one of our just probably the best park, national park or outdoor experience you really have in the neighborhood. And hey, there's me in the bottom corner, because I love to go to Red Rock. So I said, gosh, I should be there too. But you can soak this one in without me, and you can enjoy this little view of Red Rock on your own. Okay, so let's dive in. This is what it looked like when it was first being built many years ago, right? This is one of the signs that you see. You actually see a few of these types of signs kind of welcoming you. You have the beautiful palm trees. And this is actually probably a very old photo of what it used to look like when they started building it. Just as a piece of history that's worth noting is what a development looks like before anything is there. When you look at these old pictures of the desert, it reminds you how far things have come and how much Las Vegas has grown and boomed over the last, 30 years, but more so than I could possibly have imagined really in the last 20 years. So let's step into our trusty map, because that's something that I think will help give you a good point of reference. So when you look at our Google map here, in the bottom right-hand corner, I've circled the Las Vegas Strip. And I did that because it's a good point of reference. If you remember our previous videos about places to live in Las Vegas and different communities, I referenced the west side of 15 and the east side of 15. And you see 15 going through the middle there, the highway. Number 15, going through the middle, and that is, giving you a key point of reference, which separates really east and west. Now, as we go over to the area that I've circled, you're going to notice something here. You see the highlighted area that's a little bit lighter in color above Charleston Boulevard, or what says, I believe, 159. If you look there, the reason it's like that is because when you search for Summerlin on the map, what happens is they often highlight only this neighborhood. And that's why I wanted to take our pen here and highlight more of it with my red marker, because if you look below the Charleston, along the Bruce Woodbury Beltway, or what we generally call 215 here, you'll see Summerlin South. And that is a beautiful community. It's still called Summerlin. Okay, and it is full of these great developments, so many that I really like. I think if you're coming out here and we're going to show you around Summerlin and you want some newer houses, make sure to mention, Summerlin South as you look at the photos and the video we're going to go through on this channel, because there's a lot of nice walking paths, new homes, you've got gated communities, some homes built, in the last few years. It's a different feel, and it doesn't have as much of the desert style. So I kind of like that. You see more colors when you're there. And again, that's the Summerlin South neighborhood. It's going to be the area that is south of West Charleston Boulevard. And Charleston is a good reference point when you're talking about Summerlin because it's a major freeway exit and it's right where the Red Rock Casino is. It's going to be a key point of reference whenever we're touring Vegas. So when you're thinking about Summerlin, and we're going to show you around, we're going to tell you about all the different neighborhoods, leave some time for this because it's a big community and I think you're going to want to see the parts that really meet your needs. Now, let's look at this map of Las Vegas. Quick shout out to downtown.vegas for this map that they made. It's super useful and I love it. If you look on the west or the left of your screen, you see Summerlin, right, off of 215. And you'll notice how they drew it. They did include the South Summerlin area there in the pink/orange colored section over there. You'll notice that it's bordered on one side by Hualupai Road, and then as you curve up, it goes to Rampart, and then it kind of comes to an end towards Lake Mead, and then when you get up to Cheyenne. North of Summerlin is Centennial Hills, and from there, there's actually another community that we'll have a dedicated video on as well. But for reference, you can see how far it is from the airport, which is really super convenient in Vegas. I never find it inconvenient going to the airport. And then also, if you look down, you'll notice that the lower area that we talked about in the videos about where to live in Las Vegas were southwest, which includes neighborhoods again, such as Mountain's Edge and Southern Highlands. Moving forward, again, thanks to downtown.vegas for this great map they made. I've drawn a little line around this to show you the Summerlin area specifically once again, just so you can see a zoomed in example. You'll see 215 again passes through Summerlin as well. Highway 95 does go out there too. But as I mentioned, if you're living in that area, you might live your entire life there, unless you have to drive for work or you want to go see a show and on the Strip or on Fremont Street. If you're living in Las Vegas and you're living in Summerlin, you can do everything you need just in that community. It's quite large and I just love it out there. So here's a shot of what's happened, meaning the amazing development that's happened in Summerlin. And thanks to Summerlin itself for this beautiful photo that they have. It shows you something that I really love. You can see the organized layout of the houses. This is part of that master plan thing we were talking about, if you remember. When you look at this, you see the greenery, which I just love because it's great to have a peaceful bit of greenery and a respite or a place you can relax when you're living in the desert. All these parks and golf courses have built something really beautiful. And you notice there's actually some different tones when you look at the photos. You'll see on the right-hand side you have properties in one tone, meaning like a color scheme, and then you also see the general desert style paints and colors on the other side. You'll notice the large sweeping parkways and circular roads that help guide you through the area. And if you look around the park, I want you to remember something I always talk about is that you have these trails or paths, if you will, where you can take your bike or go running or take your e-scooter, your skateboard, your mono wheel, whatever cool thing you have. It's really great. I love these parks because they're actually connected, and that's something I can really appreciate. Somebody took the time to plan to connect a lot of different parks so that you as a pedestrian who wants to just enjoy your community can take advantage of. It's really great. And then, take a look at those mountains. They are beautiful. And I didn't appreciate them all my life. I didn't realize what it meant to have mountains until I had traveled out to, I believe it was Iowa and Nebraska, and I saw what it meant to live in flat land. And wow, what a difference when you have this beautiful mountainscape in the background. And sometimes during the winter, when you look at Mount Charleston, it will be snow covered, which is pretty awesome. And quick note on the left, you see the red rocks, so you know where that is. Something I wanted to mention, this is a map from Summerlin itself, the community. Although it's not very easy to read, the key thing here is look at all these amenities, all these different parks, paths, trails. I mean, this is just great, right? You have all this stuff in an area where you can take advantage of it just by, going outside of your village or your little community inside of Summerlin. It's amazing how much stuff they have there. And I think it's great for, enjoying the weekend. If you have a family and you want to take your kids bike riding and things like that. But notice how they're connected. And that's something I can really appreciate, because I've lived in different cities, and if I wanted to go from one area to another, I would have to get in my car and throw my bike back in the trunk, or whatever I'm using, or if I just wanted to keep walking, I couldn't do it unless I had a well planned out plan for the day, and I had to have a car. But when you look at this map, you can see how it's been well designed already. Here's a map of Summerlin trails from Summerlin itself. Again, you can see the greenery, you can see the areas you can go hiking, walking, biking, whatever you're into, whatever fun things you're doing on wheels, or maybe riding something electric like a scooter. It's great. You can just spend some time outside. There are a lot of parks as well. And again, I think that's something people really appreciate when you live in the desert. If you're coming from somewhere like the Northwest where there are trees everywhere, or you're coming from other parts of the country where there's heavy trees and bush and greenery, moving to a desert is a change. But that's just one little thing that you get used to. But it's offset by some of the amazing benefits, like the zero income tax and world famous food and all that other great stuff we have. So let's wrap up the slideshow, and we're going to move into some more parts of the area that I want you to take a look at. Let's jump into the map together for a second, because I want to show you the area once again. One of my favorite things here is downtown Summerlin, and I really want to highlight that for you. So let's take a quick look. As you zoom in here, you're going to see our friend Charleston Boulevard, which we referenced before. And highlighted on the map right in the middle is downtown Summerlin, right where I am. That's right off of Charleston and 215. It's an amazing area because it's a new shopping center. Now, quick reminder, downtown Summerlin is not a downtown in the sense of a place where you go to work, like downtown LA or downtown New York or downtown Omaha, Nebraska. Here in Las Vegas, this is a major shopping center, and I think it's really great. It's got a lot of cool stuff in there. As you see when I zoomed in here, let's go back over to the screen. As I zoom in, you'll see you've got the Las Vegas ballpark right over here. The picture pops up. That's where we've got our minor league teams playing. You've got City National Arena right over here, and it's all in walking distance of this downtown area. This is where you have some teams play as well, and I believe it still, don't quote me on this, but I think it's still where the Golden Knights will go practice or playing. But look at our map here. You've got all these restaurants, and I'm not even able to zoom in and show you everything. I'm going to show you some video in a minute when I was driving through there. But take a look at all these stores. You see a main pathway here, lots of well-known restaurants. You've got Shake Shack and Wolfgang Puck's, but then you've got other cool local places too. You've got this Corks and Crafts, a lot of different places you can try. You've got all your shopping. As I scroll through, you'll just see more and more. Look at all these local places you can try. It's so fun. You could spend a whole day here. If you like to get out and, check out the mall, so to speak. It's an outdoor mall, so it's not like an indoor mall. It's totally different. You're spending your time outside. And I'm going to zoom out for a second just to give you a reference point. We talked about Red Rock, the casino, resort, and spa, which is up here. And I didn't mention, by the way, Red Rock Lanes. If you do like to bowl, Red Rock does have a bowling alley as well, which is quite cool. But you can see it's basically adjacent. You can kind of walk over from the hotel and enjoy this whole area here. In taking a peek at the aerial view, you can see a little bit of those parks that I was talking about as well, parks and golf clubs I was mentioning. Just wanted to make sure that you got a glimpse of that. But as we focus on this downtown area, you've got so many things going on. And you'll notice here it is on Charleston, right? So it's right off a major street. And when you're thinking about doing some shopping, you've also got on the other side of the road, very convenient for all the residents of Summerlin, you've got your Costco, you've got this whole area that I believe it's called Canyon Point. And it's got lots of major stores. Let's change our map here. You've got your major stores that you probably recognize, your big box stores, you've got your home improvement stores, your shopping area. And that's something, if you need to do some shopping, you have that as well. That's more of what I would like to call destination shopping, where you're thinking, I'm just gonna go somewhere to pick up something, like I need a home improvement item, and you run over there. It's not maybe where you spend the day, like what people like to do in the downtown Summerlin area. We also have a lot of events over here, which is really cool because I like community events. I think it it brings a feeling of home when you're living there. All right, are you ready to take a little drive with me? Let's hop in the car together and we're gonna drive around. We're gonna drive around downtown Summerlin right now to check it out. Let's see what's going on over there. So here's downtown Summerlin. I was driving through there and it was a somewhat sunny day, but the clouds decided they wanted to block out some of the light just as I wanted to make this video for you all. So what you'll notice is it's an outdoor mall. It has a modern design, which I really appreciate because it's not brand new, but it feels so new. And look at how they designed this. This is great. They put this beautiful cover over everything so it keeps the sun out during the summer, but you can still get a lot of light and really enjoy your day in Las Vegas if you spend it here at downtown Summerlin. Now, I'm not able to capture every single store, of course, but I'm trying to show you just how much there really is. You see the office building up there on the left, and you see this huge outdoor shopping mall. And when you walk down some of the paths, there are additional areas where you can go shopping, and you've got restaurants, all kinds of stores. I mean, there are so many stores here. They also had this good idea to put some convenient parking in the front, which is separate from the major parking area so that you could, if you needed to pick something up, of course, you could just go in and grab it. There's the Apple store. People love to see that. Kind of gives you a clue of all the modern stuff going on in the city. You've got some well-known stores here. You've got chain restaurants, but you also have local restaurants. So I know that people who come from certain areas, they really appreciate the chains, and people who come from small towns really, really appreciate the chains because they didn't have those in their smaller town. Again, I didn't know what that felt like until I went out to other places and traveled to other states and realized not everyone has these restaurants. Look at this architecture. It's so nice. I love it. You've got these great covered areas. You see all the families who are just hanging out there. It's because it's more than just a shopping mall. It's got a lot of different areas where you can go hang out. It's got some grassy areas, and I think I'm gonna go make you a video of this. If you'd like to see more, put a note in the comments if you'd like to see more of downtown Summerlin and the downtown area. So I hope that gives you a good feel for what's going on in the Summerlin neighborhood. If there's something specific you'd like to know, don't hesitate to bring it up when you reach out. If you're looking for, proximity of something, you wanna know if they have a certain feature, you wanna know if there's something specific that you need to know about, let the team know. That's what we want to do. When we help you move to Las Vegas, we help you move to Summerlin, that's what we want to do. We love Vegas, and I'm the kind of guy who drives on every single street. I want to know everything about my town, right? I want to know where the stuff is, where the secret little parks are, where the cool hiking paths are. There's so much to see in this city. I think people are really surprised when they come here. Now that you're thinking about moving to Las Vegas or moving even specifically to Summerlin, and as you watch these videos, you realize there's so much more than just the Strip. There's more than Fremont Street, which is sometimes called downtown. And I would say, let me think for a second here. I would say that Summerlin is the most requested neighborhood that I hear about. The two neighborhoods that I would say generally feature a lot of development, that are mature and have a kind of a little bit of energy, I would say, are the two that I hear requested the most, which are Summerlin and Southern Highlands. And Southern Highlands features more luxury homes, but Summerlin now has a huge mix of homes. We have so many options out here. You have townhouses, if that's what you're looking for, and I think that's a great option, especially if you don't like to take care of a yard. I appreciate townhouses and condos. I think they're great because it allows you just to live in your home and you don't have that outdoor list for the weekend. You don't have all those things to deal with. And you get a pool probably that you don't have to maintain. And I think that's great. And if you're wondering why I say that, that's because I probably have to maintain one of those things. And I don't love working in the yard. I like that feel. But let's get back to what I was saying here. You've got townhouses and condos. You've got retirement communities out here. So if you're looking for a retirement community, just let us know. Those are going to be 55 and older in most cases. And then you have a lot of single family homes. You have gated communities, and then you have open communities, and you also have guard gated communities. So that's another thing I'd love for you to bring up when you contact us. If you're thinking, I want to live in a guard-gated community, I don't just want a gate, I want to have security right at the front, let us know. It's a really nice feature, and it creates a great, well, it creates a great feeling of safety, of course, you know. Having a guard there is nice. It controls the traffic, controls who can come in. It's a really cool thing, and if that's what you're looking for, then you should have it, of course. But the thing I want to tell you about Summerlin is, if you're worried that every home's going to be $5 million or $10 million, don't worry about that. There is a huge mix of homes. We have a lot of sizes too. Whether you want 1,000 square feet or you want 4,000 or 5,000 square feet, we have those options in Summerlin. We also have newly styled homes, because if you look at Vegas over the last 20 years, you'll notice a lot of the houses, they had that, you know, kind of standard stucco, and then it was always the same color, you know, and you had a lot of Mediterranean style homes, a lot of tile roofs that had used the red tiles. Today we see a lot of new styles of homes, modern things. We see multi-tiered roofs. We see something that I believe is sometimes referred to as modern prairie homes. We see a lot of different styles of desert home. So there's really something for everybody. You can still get your starter home here. And if you're coming from one of those places that is so expensive you can't even believe it until you get here, like the Bay Area, or you're coming from Southern California, you're coming from New York City, you're coming from, you know, any of these places where homes are just astronomically off the chart expensive, you're gonna love it here because you will have so many options. And like I said, you can have a backyard if you want to, and then if you don't want to, you don't have to. With the modern landscaping we're using, the xeriscaping, you don't have so much maintenance of your backyard anymore. You're not gonna see a lot of grass, obviously. We save that for the public areas now. But I think that's okay because, well, AstroTurf actually is very comfortable for me to walk on. I like it. And also, I have a cool desert vibe that I see in a lot of backyards. So that's something to think about as well. Don't forget to bring that up. You know, let's talk about the type of house you'd like to find. If you're looking for a big backyard, if you're looking for a swimming pool, jacuzzi only, if you want to live on a golf course, there are some beautiful golf courses. Vegas has amazing golf communities. And I don't even play golf. I'm gonna take some lessons, but I don't play yet. And I'll tell you, living on a golf course is really nice. Just having that view off your patio or in your backyard, if you live on the greens, wow. What a great view to wake up to. I think it's just amazing. All right, so that's Summerlin in a nutshell with a little bit of my own added color for flair. So don't forget now, when you reach out to us, let us know a little bit about what you want, and we can start working from there. If you're already dialed in and really know what you want, great. That gives us another opportunity to just make the relocation even easier for you. So again, don't forget to click the little subscribe button. Don't forget to tap the bell. And look, you can send me a text message. You can send us an email. I don't care if you strap a letter to the Pony Express. Just give us a call. Get in contact with us 24/7 because we have your back when you're moving to Vegas. We love Las Vegas. We're all about it. And it's a passion for me to help people enjoy what I enjoy. And I think our team would just love to be there to help you as well. So reach out, send a text message. It only takes a second. We'll get on a call together. We'll get the ball rolling. And then we'll see you out here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Or in this case, Summerlin, Las Vegas, Nevada. All right, everybody. I will see you in the next video. Take care.